Welcome back to Social Audio Think Tank. I'm Jackson here with my co-host Josh.
G'day.
We are in the Studio 1 at Southern FM 88.3 in Melbourne because we like the nice quiet radio studio, although there's quite a racket coming out of the studio next door. So today we're gonna have a bit of a discussion on a myth or a topic or whatever you like to call it, and so I'm picking the topic for this episode, which is going to be the Wadsworth Constant. So I might have to just explain this before we get into it. The Wadsworth Constant is basically it was invented by a guy on Reddit to explain a technique he uses while he's browsing YouTube, which is he always skips the first 30% of a video because the first 30% is basically unnecessary. It's introduction and it's just waffle that you don't need in the video. I wrote an article applying that theory to podcasting. Now, podcasting's a bit different because it's a lot longer, but my basic message was that if we apply the Wadsworth Constant to podcasting, we should just take out as much of the intro as we possibly can and get to the point as quickly as possible, unlike my discussion of this topic right now. So, Josh, what do you think? Should we skip the intro and get straight into the point, or should we, set things up and give some context to what we're saying?
I've got a lot to say on that.
Sure.
Firstly, if anyone's looking for this episode, it's called the Wadsworth-isode. So you'll see that there in iTunes or Stitcher or on the website, socialaudioThinktank.com, wherever you're watching it. Sorry, wherever you're listening to it. I just need to clarify, are you saying that you feel it is applicable in your own personal experience, or are you just putting the topic out there and you don't have a feeling on it yourself?
I do have a feeling. I'm a massive hypocrite in that I don't follow it, but I think there's definitely something to be said for getting there quickly. Like I said, I'm a hypocrite. I don't do it. Yeah. I'm not sure many people do it, but the basic point was, speed it up, get to the point.
It depends on, for me, how the show is structured for that first percentage of time. If you have 10 minutes worth of advertising, or you list every single contact method that's ever been invented for you, including your old phone number, then I would say yes.
Yeah.
But across the board, I liken podcasting and the creative element of podcasting more to music and composition than I actually do to producing a YouTube video. And if you were to look at the top 1,000 songs in my iTunes catalogue, or even the top 1,000 songs that were written all time, you couldn't cut out the first 30% of a great song and have anything like decent art. And more than likely, you couldn't cut out the first 30% of a great movie and have anything like a great movie. And you can't cut out 30% of a great painting and have a great painting. So I'm going to say unequivocally that it's crap, and I don't believe it. In the case of YouTube, I'm convinced that it probably does hold true most of the time because, A, you've got 15 to 30 seconds of advertising on some videos. They're quite short, so that percentage of time, the load time, all that stuff that goes on YouTube that doesn't happen in podcasting all adds to the total amount of time that you could probably allocate to a unit of YouTube watching that doesn't hold true across the board.
Yeah.
So for me, no. I don't think we can apply it to anything unless you have a lot of ads at the start and you see a massive drop in your own listenership. Maybe you didn't have ads and then you put ads in there and you front load your show with lots of contact details that no one cares about. Then I think that maybe it's applicable.
Yeah.
But 30%. So essentially that's saying if you have an hour-long show that the first 20 minutes is skippable and people won't actually miss out on any valuable entertainment or information.
Well, yeah, that's the part where it falls down when you transfer it to podcasting, is you can't take 30% out because that's ridiculous. So I changed it to 54 seconds. So if you can get to the main content in the first minute, basically, then that's probably more interesting. But yeah, I take your point that it's not in a work of art. You can't just cut stuff out, but especially on YouTube, I think it works because It's not going to be a work of art on YouTube. It's going to be an educational video, or it's going to be a cat jumping out of a tree or something like that.
Yeah.
And you can skip the 30 seconds of, come on, cat, jump out the tree, come on, and just get to the point of the actual bit you want to see. So I would say if we apply it to be 54 seconds or a minute, if you can get your intro done, ads, contact details, everything, intro music in under 60 seconds, I think that's going to make your show a lot tighter.
How did you come to the conclusion that it should be 54 seconds, though? Like, why? What reference do you have for that? I'm just wondering out of interest, because I'm sure there's people at home that are listening going, that's a strange figure to just come up with.
I wrote it in the article, hang on.
What Jackson's talking about is an article that he actually produced as an Australian perspective for podcastersnews.com. Was it Podcasting News?
Podcasternews.com. So when I was writing the article, I used an example of a show that I listen to that's it's 90 minutes long, so you can't cut out 30% of that. But they started getting more and more advertising to the point where 3 minutes at the start of the show was top-loaded advertising. And I just got fed up with that and just thought, this is ridiculous. I'm not listening to 3 minutes of advertising. I mean, I skip it every time now because it's stupid. So I said, if we take 30% of that advertising out, then we get...
So you've actually applied the Wadsworth Constant, not to the show itself, but to the portion of the show that you don't like.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense. 30% of...
Don't question your own article, Jackson. I understand what you're getting at, and I think that everyone at home does as well, that if you take that section of the show that maybe is weak and then apply a 30% cut, you might end up with something in the ballpark of a decent portion of advertising time.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at. Is not it's the stuff that's not integral to your show. Trim that down by 30%, and you'll have a tighter show.
I agree, but I think the thing that a lot of people don't realise is there's so much speculation and stuff out there about go with Libsyn, you get unlimited hosting or for your audio files. Sorry, not unlimited hosting, unlimited downloads or unlimited transfer of data for a portion of money per month. Same with Blueberry, I'm pretty sure. SoundCloud have their unlimited account that I use as a secondary account for all my shows. That's unlimited. The problem is that a lot of the people, if we take all the biggest shows that I can come up with off the top of my head in iTunes at the moment, Radio Lab, Dan Carlin, Joe Rogan, The Nerdist, in Australia, Will Anderson, all those guys. A lot of those guys are on a level of downloads where they're not on those normal plans, and they pay a lot for bandwidth, more than your average podcaster imagines that they're paying. Like I'm pretty sure it was Radio Lab that had an episode and said it cost them some astronomical amount of money just to move the data to people at home in the US and around the world.
Yeah, I heard Will Anderson say it cost him about 10 grand a year, which is...
It's huge, and they're not on these normal plans that the rest of us are all on. I don't mind if they've got 5 minutes of advertising at the start, because if you've got a 3-hour show like Joe Rogan does, how much, like really percentage-wise, is that 5%?
Yeah.
Like it's less than 5% of the total time of the show, probably. Like I can't do that math quickly off the top of my head because his advertising changes sometimes from 3 minutes to 10 minutes, depending. But when you get to a show like WTF by Mark Maron, he does 10 minutes solid, nearly every episode of a show that only goes for a little bit over an hour. That, to me, is starting to push it, regardless of how much he's paying for bandwidth. Like 15% of the show is advertising. So I think that sometimes that might be able to be cut down, but none of us know how much these guys are paying, really, to give us all a bunch of free stuff to listen to, so it's hard to criticise them for putting ads in. Yeah.
I've got no problem with them top-loading the ads. My thing is that when you get 3 minutes of it, I would think a lot of people are going to skip it, and then what's the worth to the advertisers? If no one's hearing your ad, why are you paying for it?
Yeah, that's true, but obviously a lot of people aren't skimming it.
Oh, yeah, I suppose
because they have such loyalty, or they wouldn't be running that many ads right at the front of the show, I guess. But I guess people that don't want to hear the ads, if they're a fan of the show, they'll work out 10 to 12 minutes on Mark Maron. You just skip till then, and he's probably finished doing his ad spiel. And sometimes it's entertaining with those guys, how they put their ads together. on some of the tech shows where it's 5 minutes about one company, and it's the same ad every time, and they read it exactly the same. And you can tell, because I read multiple books a week.
Yeah.
I know when they haven't actually listened to the audiobook, because I can tell the way they're talking about it's not actually correct. So that does bother me, but that's not really in line with the Wadsworth Constant at all.
Yeah, I think we've strayed a bit from the original topic there. But yes, so that's basically our argument about the Wadsworth Constant.
I don't think it has any place in podcasting at all, except for maybe what you're talking about, where you apply it to the weakest section of your show.
Yeah.
Maybe you could get chopped by 30% without harming your show or your income possibly at all. Cool. So is there anything else you wanted to bring up today?
Well, what's your Twitter handle if we want to talk to you some more about that?
And throw abuse my way. It's at Joshua C. Liston.
And mine is at Oz Podcasts.
Cool. Radio Jackson, well, it's good to talk to you. And yeah, once again, look for the Wadsworth-isode or search Social Audio Think Tank in iTunes and Stitcher and SoundCloud and all other places where podcasts can be found. Cool. See you later, mate.
See you later.